Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're just joining me for the first time, I hope you'll check out my other videos because we are on a special journey this year together. We're following along in Sarah Breathnach's new edition of Simple Abundance. It's 365 days of living a balanced and joyful life. And we're doing that through reading the daily entries and learning about the principles. And here we are in January 2020, and oh my goodness, there is so much to say about these first few entries. And I did mention a couple of my other videos. I did a video last week about my journal and some of the questions that I start the year off with. And they just intertwine so perfectly with some of these first few entries where Sarah is asking us to explore a few really important questions as well. So I hope you'll tune into that video and perhaps consider some of those questions for yourself. And it can be a pretty introspective experience, and it might not be something that you can do in one sitting. So this is a 365-day experience, but really it's a lifelong experience. It's not like you graduate from this in 1 year. Believe me, I can say that for sure. So heading back to January 7th, that's when she's talking about the woman that we were meant to be and sort of reconciling where we're at right now versus what we may have had in our minds for our lives, or even just reconciling the difference of looking in the mirror and not seeing who you'd like to be or who you remember being in there. And I think some of these entries are just so profound if you really dive into what she's saying. On January 8th, I don't remember this from the past edition, this song that she mentions from Mattea's song called Standing Knee Deep in a River, and then in parentheses, dying of thirst. So I did go to YouTube and I tuned into the song, and it ties in perfectly with what she's talking about as far as when you're standing in this river, you actually have plenty of water around you, but you're dying of thirst because you just don't realize what's there. I recommend listening to the song. It's kind of one to have tissues with because it's deep. So I can see why she mentions it, and I can see how she's, again, easing us into some of the things that we're going to do, because my next video I'll post on Monday, that's going to be the start of the principles. And as I mentioned in my video about her principles as like an overall introduction, gratitude is at the basis of everything. And she even says in one entry that gratitude is not a choice on this journey. It's like you have to do it, or else it's gonna unravel all the other, this tapestry of golden thread with all these principles that I've mentioned, that she talks about how if you don't have gratitude, then you don't have that basis. So the entry on the 8th about dying of thirst in the standing knee deep in a river is very much about setting us up to really start to recognize what are the things that are actually there that we're not either giving a nod to, or we might be totally oblivious of. In January 9th, where her heading for the day, and then she talks about this, is evaluating how happy are you right now. This is, again, it goes hand in hand with some of the journal entries that I mentioned that I do every year. And I've also been forthcoming about the fact that my life is not always sunshine and rainbows. I've had periods like that, but I'm coming out of a difficult time, and so me sitting down and really facing it, like how happy am I right now? I personally can say that I could definitely be much happier about a lot of things. So one thing that she explores in this entry and going further into the next couple of days is about when you sit down to ask yourself some of these questions, and it could be some of those journal entries too, that it can be hard. It can be an emotional experience, because just like reconciling yourself in the mirror and saying like, wow, when did I age 10 years? Or when did I get this muffin top, or whatever it is, it can be that way when you sit down to really evaluate how happy you are. Because if you're really unhappy, it might feel overwhelming of, how do I fix this? And so it's really a gradual process. And I love in her January 10th entry where she talks about the pursuit of happiness and how our forefathers put that into our documents, that we have this right of pursuing happiness. So in her way of explaining it, she's saying that it's not like we're gonna go, whoop, I'm happy, you know. She's taking us along on this journey, and I can just tell from reading her entries, and I don't know that I noticed this in the other edition, so maybe it's this new flavor and more experience that she's had in the last 25 years. I can tell that this book is a cheerleader for her as well. I don't get the sense, and I don't know, because she hasn't done that many interviews. You can find some on YouTube. She's got a Super Soul Sunday with Oprah, and she has some other intro videos about the various principles. And then recently she's done a couple of audio radio spots that if you put Simple Abundance into the search field in YouTube, you will find those. But so I can't say that I am in her head, but just my sense of some of the way that she words things and the way that she's easing us through this, that she's also had some dark times as well. That's just my sense. So like I said, we're on the pursuit of happiness. So it's not like if you sit down and you're doing these evaluation lists, and it might be difficult. It might make you feel like, wow, I'm really not happy. I didn't even realize I felt better when I didn't even realize I wasn't happy. But that's not to say that that's going to be where you're at forever. It's going to be this pursuit of happiness that we're on together. I'm right there with you, girls. I have my own struggles, like I said in one of my other videos. So I'm glad we're all in this together, and that we will be on this pursuit of happiness together. Made a couple of other notes. Oh, she also mentioned, and I think it was back in one of the other entries that I mentioned, about not only when you're having trouble recognizing yourself or where your life all of a sudden got to when you start to evaluate it, but recognizing some lost dreams as well. You know, she talks about, oh, I was going to be at the Eiffel Tower and all these other things. So coming to terms with some of those things, as far as being able to dream about what you do want and what you envision, but also letting go of the fact that some of the things that maybe you did hope for yourself earlier in life, maybe they didn't come to fruition, but that you can take a look around and see what you do have. That's when I just said that, it's making me think of that Carly Simon song. Can't remember the name of it, but it's like, take a look around now, take a new picture. Like, she's talking about how you could, I think she's talking about her relationship, but it's, you can reframe what you're seeing, and maybe you had this big vision for the knight in shining armor, but then the one that's there for you is actually the one that is meant to be, or whatever. So it's similar, and that just came to my mind, totally off topic, but I think in songs a lot of the time, because I'm a very musical person. So again, it's about regrouping and thinking, okay, maybe I didn't go to the Eiffel Tower, but maybe I did all these other things, and maybe the Eiffel Tower is still in my future, and it's something that I can think of and have hope for. So again, this is that excavation of the soul process, and there can be ups and downs in it, and as long as we're trying to work on that pursuit of happiness and keep it on the upward swing, then we'll be better for it. And the last one I'm going to mention is January 11th, her title for that, and that's today, January 11th. And what is it that you truly need? That would be another great journal exercise to really write down. These are conversations that you're having with your inner self, your authentic self. What is it that I truly need right now? And see if there's a way that there are solutions to getting you those things, or at least identifying them is one giant step for sure. So I hope that you're getting a lot out of these first few entries. Again, I said I'll meet up with you guys again on Monday here on YouTube, and we'll have a few videos next week because we're going to have individual entries on each of the principles. And remember, her principles are joy, harmony, gratitude, order, simplicity, and beauty. So we'll be getting a little one-day introduction to each of those, and I will continue sharing with you some of my activities and things that I'm doing in relation to the monthly joyful simplicities. And I'll pop in if I have something else that comes to my mind, or if there's an entry that really speaks to me. I would love to hear from you guys. I appreciate some of the comments that came into the earlier videos. And also, if you're not getting notification that I'm posting, definitely hit that little bell icon, because then it will send you notifications when I have a new video up. So please consider commenting. This is a community that we've started here, and I'm glad to see the subscribers joining. And anyone you think would benefit from being along with us and really to have this enriched experience this year, I would love it if you share that with them as well. So thanks again for being here, and I will see you guys next time.